So picture this. Every year, hundreds of millions of people tune in to China's Spring Festival Gala. It's this huge cultural event, right? But it's not exactly where you'd expect to see, a major declaration in the global tech race. Well, this year, that's exactly what happened. And it sent this massive shockwave through the entire global robotics industry.
And the reaction? It was instant. And it came from the very top. I'm talking about the chief engineer at Boston Dynamics, America's top dog in robotics. He went online basically telling everyone he knew to watch this thing, calling it simply stunning. Now, think about that. When the guy from the company famous for those viral robot videos is shocked, something big just went down. So that really brings us to the big question we're tackling today. How in the world did a holiday TV special become this pivotal moment in the global race for tech supremacy? What did everyone see that night that has Silicon Valley and Boston so completely rattled? All right, Section 1, a shockwave from a stage. See, this was so much more than just a performance, it was a message. For any technology to really truly have an impact, it's got to capture the public's imagination. And what did China do? On the world's biggest stage, they didn't just show off some robots. They made the future of robotics feel real, tangible, and like it's happening right now. Okay, Section 2, more than just a show. Let's actually break down what was going on up on that stage. Because to you or me just watching it, it probably looked like a cool, futuristic dance. But to a robotics expert, oh man, it was a showcase of solutions to some of the absolute hardest problems in their field.
First up, let's talk about something called dynamic stability. These robots from a company called Unitree weren't just running through some pre-programmed routine. No, they were performing complex martial arts moves. We're talking backflips on a stage crowded with human dancers. Now, for a robot, probably the hardest thing is just keeping its balance in a chaotic environment. Think about it. Human movements are never perfectly the same twice. So the robots had to calculate and adjust on the fly in real time just to avoid crashing into people. That is an incredibly difficult task that you just can't fully rehearse.
So while Unitree's robots were showing off their incredible agility, another robot from a different company, GRG, was showing off something just as revolutionary: fine motor skills. It's funny, a top robotics investor said just a few months ago that a robot's hands, that dexterity, was the single hardest problem to crack, judging just the right amount of force to use. And then this happened. I mean, look at this. On stage, this robot was doing tasks that require an almost human-like sense of touch. It was handling delicate walnuts in its palm, picking up fragile pieces of glass without shattering them, threading food onto skewers, even folding clothes. And then, and this one is truly wild, it navigated a totally cluttered table to pick up one single water bottle without knocking anything else over. These aren't just party tricks, you guys. These are the absolute foundational skills robots need to actually work in our homes and factories.
Okay, Section 3, the new robotic titans. So who is actually behind this massive leap forward? Well, it turns out it's not just one company working in a lab somewhere. What the gala really revealed was an entire ecosystem of fierce competitors who are all pushing each other to move the industry forward at a breakneck pace. So we've already met Unitree, the market leader in agility, and GRG, that rising star in dexterity that's aiming for your home. But there's also Z1, another big player that, along with Unitree, sold over 5,000 robots just last year. And then you've got these incredible comeback stories like Songyan Dynamics. This was a company on the verge of bankruptcy before its companion robot actually won a marathon and brought in a flood of new cash. Just amazing.
All right, Section 4, China's robot-making machine. But honestly, the companies themselves are only part of the story here. The real engine driving all this progress is a national strategy that's created this unique ecosystem for building robots faster and cheaper than pretty much anywhere else on the planet. So, what's their secret sauce? Well, it really boils down to 3 main ingredients. First, they have a complete domestic supply chain. I mean, some of these companies are 99% self-sufficient. Second, they focus on low-cost, modular parts that can be mass-produced, which drives costs way, way down. And third, and this is the really interesting part, is their unique competitive environment. They actually call it gang-style innovation, and it's wild. Just try to imagine over 150 companies all fiercely competing with each other. But at the same time, they're all collectively building up the supply chains and the know-how for the entire industry. It creates this incredible group effect, where a breakthrough at one company almost instantly elevates the capabilities of everyone else. It's this environment of intense, hyper-competitive collaboration. And that brings us to Section 5, the race for the future. This is the ultimate context for that whole performance. Because this isn't just about building cooler robots. No. This is a high-stakes race between the world's two biggest economies to define the future of, well, everything. Manufacturing, logistics, even life inside our own homes.
And the two sides are playing completely different games. You've got Team USA, led by giants like Tesla and Boston Dynamics. Their approach is very lab-based. They show us these carefully polished videos while they perfect the tech behind closed doors. Their focus is software first. Then you have Team China, with its 150-plus companies, taking the stage-based hardware-first approach. They're putting their products out there in the real world, proving what they can do physically, and using their massive manufacturing power to try and define the market from the get-go.
A really great way to get your head around this is the big brain versus little brain framework. The big brain is the AI, the cognition, the decision-making, and that's where the US still has a clear edge. But the little brain, which is all about controlling movement, balance, and the physical limbs, that's where China just showed the world it has a stunning lead. And here's the thing, you can't have a useful robot without both.
And don't think for a second this is some far-off sci-fi future. This market is igniting right now. According to IDC, sales of humanoid robots grew 5x, in a single year, hitting 18,000 units in 2023. We are looking at the very beginning of an exponential curve.
So what's the prize for winning this whole race? Get ready for this. According to analysts at Morgan Stanley, the humanoid robot market is projected to be worth $5 trillion by 2050. That's a 5 with 12 zeros after it. The economic implications are just staggering. And for the first time in a trillion-dollar industry, China is starting out right there in the lead pack.
Which leaves us with one final and really critical question. China is using its incredible manufacturing power to build what looks like an unbeatable hardware advantage, creating this deep, wide moat around its robotics industry. So in this race, can America's big brain software lead really be enough to overcome China's little brain and limb advantage? Can it be enough to win the race to define what our robotic future is actually going to look like? After that one night at the gala, the answer to that question is way more uncertain than it has ever been.